blah, because I forgot this is not welcome back, but welcome to a reaction video, and today we'll be reacting to Game Theory. I really like his channel. Go check it out, Game Theory, and the lost history of Minecraft Enderman. I really do want to know what Endermen are. And yeah, that's all. So let's get started. Let's see.
No one. Literally no one.
Oh, the intros are pretty cool. Oh, he got stained glass. Oh, wait a minute. It's at your house. Of course.
Oh, come on. You gotta be kidding me.
Yeah, you should have made a wood house.
Hello, Internet. Welcome to Game Theory. Call it nostalgia, call it a return to a more innocent time, call it a desire to trend right off of PewDiePie's success playing the game that just overthrew Fortnite. Yeah. Rest in peace, Jurgen. But I have been digging through a lot of Minecraft lore lately.
Now we're gonna know what
that right. According to Google Trends, Minecraft is now on top of Fortnite, both in terms of web search and here on YouTube. It's like the Grover Cleveland of video games. And by that I mean a game that was king, gave up its crown to someone else, but then snatched it back. Just like old Grover
I didn't know
was elected president. History's only done.
I don't really know who Grover Cleveland.
It's like the only thing Cleveland's known
for. Okay.
In fact, this 10 fascinating facts article on it couldn't even come up with anything remotely interesting, let alone fact.
But what is this? Grover's real first name was Stefan, not Grover. How is that even fascinating? Yeah, he's correct. Matt is correct. How is this even... Okay, never mind. We're not getting to the past.
Oh yeah, Minecraft, on the other hand, is endlessly fascinating because for a game that's now 10 years old, anniversary by the way,
I didn't know it was 10 years old. Okay, that's cool.
So sure, there's plenty of speculation and lots of really good ideas. To my knowledge, no one has truly been able to piece together a final, all-encompassing, all mysteries of this world tied together.
There is actually a whole series related to this.
I don't really plan on doing that. Not even gonna pretend. I'm starting to learn that people take it really seriously when I say stuff like, today we're solving this. So let me instead say this.
How do you get the back?
I'm gonna do my best to start us on a journey to solve this thing. I want to start a conversation with all of you where we can pool our knowledge and figure this out together. I want to put together my thoughts on pieces of evidence that stood out as particularly interesting to me, propose to you what I interpret that to mean, and then leave further discussion in our collective communal hands. It's a theory.
Like, actually, like, theory.
And like any theory, it's meant to be discussed,
to
analyzed,
be honest with you,
added
now that I think about it, they can pick a block.
It's meant most importantly of all to be fun, and if along the way we solve some deep-seated lore mysteries, great, more power to us. These games, at the end of the day, are puzzles to solve. So I'm going to do my best to lead that charge in solving those puzzles. But I want you to be there with me every step of the way. And so, our first step when it comes to solving Minecraft is tackling the Enderman. Originally programmed into the game as a joking reference to Slenderman, these tall, dark, and handsome creatures, well, just tall and dark, have become the cornerstone upon which all other lore in this game is built.
Why aren't they zombie pigman head, husk head, and Enderman head? They should be these things too. Like, I know zombie head is there, but not zombie pigman would make lots of sense. And I really need a zombie pigman head. Like, it would be really funny because I'm going in my Mobilecraft world to decorate the nether, and I want this stuff.
Solving what the Enderman
there is the Wither
is
skeleton head, which is much cooler, but
truly coming to the definitive solution as to the hidden backstory of this game. And after exploring the design of survival mode, the gameplay decisions, even ancillary canonical content in books like the Bestiary, surprise, surprise, I have myself a theory as to what
how did you do that?
Are. Admittedly, it's not a new theory.
It's
what it lacks for an originality, it more than makes up for in evidence and observation.
I didn't see what all those were.
That the Endermen aren't aliens, they're not ghosts. I almost thought that they were insects, but that one didn't pan out. No, what they are is human. They're brilliant humans. Humans
I knew. He could pick up blocks.
That's the thing. And needed an escape. In the process,
wait a minute. I just realized the undead mobs look like Steve. No. I think he got a theory
reducing
going on
them
here.
to
I
the moaning
understand.
shadows of a fallen civilization that they
Oh.
are now. So, in the true
We
spirit
need
of
proof,
Minecraft,
though.
let's
How
start
to get
building
proof?
ourselves a theory, shall we?
you
What do we
can
know about these creatures? Well, first, we know that they're one of the game's neutral mobs, meaning that they're not going to attack you unless they're actively provoked.
Yeah.
This is already interesting because it means that, in many ways, they come in peace. I mean, look
Okay,
at the list of mobs.
but I
that
don't
are-
really know why. I need to know why, and I think he's gonna say that. And also, but zombie pigmen are also, neutral. Why are you talking about that?
Of their behavior patterns. Anything else that's nice to you is either an animal,
Yeah.
a villager, or a zombie pigman, which is weird and honestly merits an episode of its own for another
Yes,
day.
it's in the series, by the way, guys.
Everything else is hostile, except for the Enderman. So already there's a bit of an odd, tenuously peaceful relationship between us and the Enderman, but
Yes.
it gets even weirder when you consider that they're the only other creatures other than Steve or Alex able to move blocks.
I see.
Sure,
See,
they're
my
kind of
theory
picky
was
about
correct
what
again.
blocks they pick
I
up,
mean,
but
I'm
carrying
working with
blocks
him
is an
here.
ability
He's
only
actually
shared
really
between
correct
our
with this,
character
too.
and the
I'm
Enderman.
liking
As the
it for
mob
now.
bestiary says, quote, they will not just pick up any block, but will choose only clay,
Clay,
dirt,
dirt,
sand,
sand,
flowers, and other plants, and rather oddly TNT. Some claim
Why? Wait a minute, I think them holding TNT needs a theory of their own. Wait a minute. If they can use TNT, means they still have a memory from the past because, they can craft TNT and blow up. Because that is human knowledge. And I think this is going to be something to do with that.
Enderman is indulging in a form
I
of
think he's
play or attempting to communicate. Speaking of communication, we also know that they can talk.
Wait,
or
what?
At least had the
They
ability.
can't
Listen
talk.
to some of the sound clips from when Endermen are
Wait a minute, are you telling me that their sound clips make them talk? What are they saying?
idling near you. Hear it? There's clearly...
The last one. The last one kind of seems odd because it doesn't really fit the Enderman, but if they're trying to talk, that fits completely.
a language here. A real language that we as humans can understand.
Yeah.
Listen again.
Don't
You
look
should
him in
be
the eyes,
hearing,
though.
Hey.
Oh, yeah.
Hello.
Oh, yeah. I didn't know that one. That was not that clear.
Next one is really clear.
Okay, let's see.
What's up?
Yeah, that's clear.
And look for the eye.
Yes. Yes! That was what? Eye offender?
Which presumably is referencing
Oh
eyes
my
of
God.
Ender,
Yeah!
that allow you to find
That's so
strongholds where
cool!
they're
This
activate
theory
a
is
portal
really
to
cool.
the end, home
I'm
of the
working
Enderman
with
and the
him
game's
here.
final boss, the Ender Dragon. So we have ourselves neutral creatures who are able to move blocks, just like us, and have language abilities far
Yes.
beyond what we hear elsewhere in the game from characters like the villagers.
They're
It's
never gonna
certainly a lot
look
of
back
us-
at the Enderman once again. I mean, I'm turning into the Enderman, guys. Please save my life. I'm gonna become an Enderman. Oh, I'm short, I know, but still. But that is a skin, so I'm literally just wearing a costume. So, okay, guess you don't need to save me, guys. It's fine.
similarities to be sure, but far
I don't
from
know,
airtight
maybe.
evidence that the
Am I
Endermen
wearing
are
a costume?
somehow
Am I
related
actually
to
turning
men.
into an Enderman?
But now let's take a
Men,
minute
men?
to actually look at their
Okay,
home,
okay.
the end. The end is a weird final dimension for Minecraft. It honestly feels to me like where the game started to run out of money.
Yeah, I don't. What's up with the end? Why is it so
Run out of
empty?
money with the whole
I mean,
thing
of course, it's literally space, but it's not that. Okay, wait.
just being a
things.
bunch of endstone and purple blocks.
Yeah.
Ugly
I-
purples and yellows
I mean, it's
everywhere.
moon.
Huge
It's the
chunks
moon.
of
I think it makes
landscape
sense.
missing, and giant cities that you can visit far off in the distance.
gonna
all
tell
of
why
which
is it?
are eerily empty. This
Oh,
is the home of
they're
the Enderman,
empty.
sure. Even the mob bestiary says it. But look
Okay.
closer and you see that while the Endermen may call this dimension home, and they certainly wander around in the empty open landscapes,
Yes.
these giant looming Thanos purple buildings aren't for them.
Oh yeah, Enderman can't go to them,
What do I mean by that? Well, let's take a look inside
and they don't even spawn next to them.
the end cities.
Like-
There's tons of great
Oh.
loot hidden all over the place. Inside the chests, you can find everything from enchanted swords to saddles and
Oh.
armor for your horse. The Minecraft Gamepedia breaks down everything that we can find here, but something's wrong with that list. None of these items are actually
Oh.
useful to the Endermen.
Of
They don't
course.
wear armor, they don't attack with swords, and they certainly don't ride animals. Heck, there are no animals in the end to ride. Even the fact that the item
that
chests
doesn't
should be
make
a
sense.
huge
So.
red
I mean,
flag.
otherwise, that's fine. It's fine. Elsewhere, it's fine, but I don't really understand the whole thing when no animals are there. That's not a part of the theory, of course.
Endermen are only picking up certain blocks, and none of those blocks entail chests. They can't use these things or the thing that stores those things. All of this points to the idea that the End's cities weren't built by the Endermen. They were built by and for someone else.
Oh no.
Some other ancient people.
I think you got a theory going on here.
But who? When you start up a new survival mode game, you enter a blank world. Immediately you notice that you're the only one of your kind. Oh, sure, as you adventure, you'll come across
what is up with them?
villagers, but they're not like
They
you.
don't.
They don't look like you. They can't build like you.
Yes.
You and the villagers are fundamentally different. It's almost as if you're a different species. This fact is even supported by zombie attacks. When bit, a villager doesn't transform into a normal zombie. It turns specifically into a zombie villager. Regular zombies and zombie villagers are different. In fact, the only times that you ever really see anything that looks even remotely like you is always in the form of undead enemies.
Oh no. So I was correct about that thing too.
Zombies, drowned, husks. It implies that once...
Skeletons too. But they're skeletons, so they don't identically look like you. But if they have skin, they will look like you.
At a time, there were other humans here, but they all died en masse. It's a strange
How did it become
you probably
three
noticed,
species?
but you shrug it off and you continue on your journey. Then you start discovering pre-existing structures, mine shafts, temples in the desert, monuments underwater, all abandoned. All of them
abandoned! I forgot about that. Abandoned. Again, that's theory.
Again, you're the only person who can build things in this world, and you certainly
I should do that
build
kind
any
of
of these
entrance
things.
to in my Minecraft world.
Making things even more suspicious is the fact that ruins like desert temples are protected by cleverly designed booby traps.
Not cleverly designed. If this is the first time of you playing, then it is cleverly designed, but after that, you're fine. Oh, what is his name though? Cattern? Who's Cattern?
This elaborate fake floor is complete with pressure plates and grids of TNT. It all points to one thing. An advanced society of builders once lived in the overworld, but have since disappeared. So that begs the question, where did they go? Maybe they all died, which in turn led to the armies of the undead mobs that have to guard against every night. And while I certainly think that that's part of it, it's not the whole story. Because we know that they went somewhere.
Yeah, where did they went? Why?
Well, they could have gone any number of places. We know for a fact that one of the places they ended up was the end. How can we be so sure? Strongholds. Strongholds are the hidden ancient ruins that contain massive portals to the end. Whatever this ancient society was, they were so advanced that they could figure out how to build these things. Which in turn makes them more advanced than even you, the player. In survival mode, you can't craft the end frames necessary to construct this thing.
But why did
in
they
order
go there?
to travel to the end, you must find these portals hidden within the stronghold. And let's stop there for a minute. I mean, have you ever thought to question that name? Stronghold?
Oh,
it's
I never did, but...
odd choice. Personally, I would think it...
Wait a minute. Think. The meaning of stronghold is a structure that is used for defense.
To be like the portal room.
Yeah.
Or the gateway room.
Yeah.
Or the altar. Or something. Anything like
yeah,
that.
anything like that. That would work.
Minecraft named it Stronghold. A term that refers to a highly secure structure built for defending against attacks. And there's that idea again. An ancient civilization of advanced builders
think he's onto
that was
something.
quickly dying.
I said
a group of builders, just like our player, who were being threatened in the overworld.
How could they be threatened by these mobs though? First of all, gas fireballs can be evaded by, throwing them back. And creepers, you seriously have to worry about them? You could just run away.
And needed an escape.
Yeah,
and what they created was a portal to another dimension.
I don't really know what this theory is going on to, but I do know there's a part 2 to this where they talk about, the beginning. And probably all are telling me to watch the beginning first. Because it's the beginning of the series, not the name of the... You understand. Okay? You understand.
The end, where, wouldn't you know it, they built cities to store the items and armor from their previous world.
Yes.
But there was one thing that they didn't expect, that this would be a one-way trip, that the portal would close up behind them, leaving them stranded in a strange and barren wasteland. Sure, they were safe from whatever was killing them in the overworld, but now they were trapped in a wasteland guarded by an unstoppable dragon, and they came unprepared. Based on what we see in the chests, they came in with swords and armor and horses. Effective weapons, to be sure, but not against an otherworldly foe.
They weren't prepared for this.
Foe that flies around and attacks with towering beacons that restore its health. They couldn't defeat.
So the Ender Dragon turned them into Enderman. What? How could they do that? Like, then why doesn't the Ender Dragon do that to you?
This thing, hence why it's still
I think he's
living
going to talk about that too.
And as we know from the game, the only way out of the end is through defeating the Ender Dragon. And since they couldn't, they were stuck, trapped there for generations. They learned to live in harmony with the dragon. They make a new life with whatever limited resources they have there, building homes using the strange end stones and purple blocks. They run out of food and soon have nothing to eat, so they turn to the strange chorus fruits found there. Chorus fruits, which, funny enough, have teleportation properties. And over time, they begin to change. They adapt to their new surroundings. Oh, sure, they retain some human features. According to the diagrams in the mob bestiary, their brains are very human-like, and they have the flat faces and wide eyes indicative of humans. They still do vaguely look like our player character, but they evolve to grow taller, which makes picking the tall stalks of the fruit easy. Similar to how giraffes' necks got longer to more easily reach higher up leaves.
Giraffes? I thought they were already tall.
To rub off on them. So instead of having to rely on ender pearls to teleport around, they instead naturally gain the ability from their diet. Over time, they slowly forget their ability to build. I mean, why build when there's no escape? When there's not even many resources with which to craft? But
how did they build that then?
The ability to pick up blocks. Though their skill for speech gets forgotten, they do retain a rudimentary language.
Oh yeah, I remember this slide dialogue is at the end where there's the credit. I really don't know what the correct words are for.
Society slowly, generation after generation, transforms into the Enderman. Even some of their memories may still remain. One odd detail of the Enderman is that wearing a pumpkin on your head prevents them from becoming aggressive. Maybe it reminds them...
I don't understand that though.
Somewhere deep down of a simpler time, or of the friendly golems that they would construct.
Of course.
Regardless, the civilization is...
The golems protected him from everything.
Stuck there. Oh sure, some are able to teleport out into the overworld or into the nether, but most are forced to live there, under the rule of the dragon. And we know this isn't by choice, because when you finally arrive in the end, when you finally defeat their oppressor...
Do you notice he's in creative mode? Cheating!
The achievement we receive is free the end.
I noticed. I didn't notice. Free the end.
Endermen at this point are so far gone from the people they once were that they're no longer able to appreciate what's happened. But in defeating the dragon, you as the player have brought closure to this oppressed civilization.
That's so cool.
One that was forced to flee to a new dimension in order to survive, only to wind up trapped yet again. And that, my friends, is the story of Minecraft. You're a builder, and you follow in the path of the great builders who came before you, discovering their work, learning of their enemies, unlocking their technology, and ultimately freeing them from their greatest oppressor. Now, admittedly, there are some difficult things to explain here, like how this ancient civilization got access to the Ender pearls necessary to craft the Eyes of Ender required to build a portal to the end. If they themselves become the Endermen, it would require some sort of time loop, which honestly there isn't a whole lot of evidence for. Instead, my thought here is that the Ender Pearls are items that they learn to create before becoming Endermen, before going to the end. I mean, think about this. We know that this ancient civilization was able to access the Nether. End Rods and Eyes of Ender both require blaze-related materials to craft, so this civilization had definitely visited that dimension.
So guys, we're gonna actually go on, because we still have time in the episode. Let's go on. So... ad. Okay, there's an ad. Great.
Here's a mini theory to start things off. Endermites. What are they?
Wait a minute. Okay, it's a mini theory. They're starting with the mini theory. Oop.
Here's a mini theory to start things off. Endermites. What are they? They're the smallest hostile mob in the game, and they're one of the very few creatures to possess the moniker of Ender. But to me, the weirdest detail about them is that they don't get along with the Enderman. When confronted,
why is that so? I don't know what these guys are, but why is that so?
Spawns in the end aren't hostile towards one another. But now, consider this. What if Endermites are actually silverfish?
Yeah, but how? How do you...
That bother you up in the overworld? What if Endermites were a silverfish who went through an end portal?
What?
Ate themselves a bunch of forest fruit when they were out there in the end, or whatever. The proof here is actually surprisingly substantial. Cue up the checklist. Point number 1, both Endermites and silverfish are small. In fact, they're both so small that they'll suffocate to death in the sinking depths of soul sand. They're the only 2 hostile mobs where this sort of thing happens. Speaking of their size, not only are they both small, technically speaking, they're exactly the same size. According to Minecraft Gamepedia, both creatures are 0.3 blocks tall and 0.4 blocks wide. In fact, they're so similar that an early design of the Endermites was just that of silverfish. You can see it right here on screen right now. The design was eventually changed during Java Edition 1.8, but for a while there, the 2 looked almost identical. Now, I know what you're thinking. That just means that they're recolored assets. It doesn't necessarily make them the same creature, but think again. To understand exactly why, we need to look at the enchantment Bane of Arthropods. If we're being honest, Bane of Arthropods is pretty lame as far as enchantments go. Sure, it increases your attack damage, but it only works when fighting against one of 4 very specific mobs in the game. And 2 of those mobs are spiders, so 50% are supposedly diverse creatures in this universe. And those 2 happen to be silverfish and endermites. Meaning that at the very least, they're in the same taxonomy.
But the spiders do have a theory of their own, right?
Phylum,
I'm guessing.
biology, what? But here's the kicker. The only way to get to the end is through portals that are hidden in strongholds deep underground, right? No big surprise there. But look into how strongholds are generated, and you notice something interesting. They always have to have a portal. That makes sense, since they're the primary place to find the portal to the end game. But the 2 features required
that's right.
Obviously the portal, but also a silverfish spawner.
Of course, that was silverfish.
But this to me reads like the criminals returning to the scene of the crime.
But how did it turn
why don't Enderman and Endermites get along? Well, if my last
how did it turn into the Endermites though? Did it just go to the end of it, or maybe the course theory like last time? I mean, same episode like this episode. Let's see how long it is. It's 17 minutes. Not that long, to be honest with you.
New names, new faces, but the same old enemies.
Yeah.
But hey, that's just a theory. A mini theory. And I'm just getting started.
Okay.
Hello, Internet. Welcome to Game Theory, the show that, yes, does indeed still talk about games, and not just why platforms need to respect their smaller creators, or why claiming video games causing violence is short-sighted. The reason I call out both those episodes, by the way, is that both of them underperformed. One even got itself demonetized, but they're, in my honest opinion, 2 of the most important episodes that we've ever done on the channel. So if you happen to miss either one of those, which there's a high likelihood that you did, please give a watch after this video. Link is at the upper right corner of the screen, that old iCard. Put that YouTube feature to use. But today, we're not talking about those episodes.
Let's get to the point.
The path towards the build on another theory. One that you all seem to like. One that started us down the path towards deciphering the hidden lore of Minecraft.
I'm gonna like the video.
There is lore here. It's not all giant golden wang monuments
in
the distance. But unlike most other games, Minecraft
I didn't
told
make
through
the
dialogue and cutscenes. Instead, it's communicated through subtle design.
Wait, guys. Just gonna say, I'm just liking. I know I didn't really see anything.
Choices, spawn conditions, character designs, achievement names, hostile.
I just noticed that was this 13 and 11. Which, actually, I'm gonna watch.
Versus friendly behavioral patterns, and all of that will be important today as we explore the secrets of the Wither. Because last time we looked at the end of the Minecraft story. Today, we're talking about how it all began. So, in case you missed it, or just forgot, during my last major Minecraft theory,
I didn't forget, I just finished.
Endermen are actually an evolved form of an ancient race of
let's get to the point.
crafts are left abandoned, dotted around the overworld when no other living creature in this universe has neither the ability to mine nor craft. The theory also explains the origins of end cities, why they contain abandoned chests full of supplies totally inappropriate for life in that hostile purple environment. There's obviously a lot more, but you should just go watch that theory if you're interested.
Yes.
Link is in the didgeridoo. Anyway, one key element I was speculating about in that theory was what motivated this ancient race of people to wind up in the end in the first place.
Yeah, why did they go there?
Were fleeing to
of course,
but
it's
why?
not. So.
Curiosity? An accident? I ultimately conclude that it was to escape something. Some big threat that existed out there in the overworld. Now, obviously, the overworld is populated with zombies and creepers and skeletons, but that just doesn't seem like enough to warrant building out a massive underground fortress deep down near the bedrock. No, after doing the research, it's my belief that these ancient builders accidentally summoned the Wither, which proceeded then to decimate their established society, killing them off by the hundreds until they somehow managed to flee to the end.
But why?
Now, why would I say this? Well, first and foremost, let's look at the achievement list, shall we? When we defeat the Ender Dragon, we get ourselves the End achievement. And that makes a lot of sense, right? It's the quote-unquote final boss of the game after all. It cues the end credits. You're in a place literally called The End. It's an achievement name that totally works. But for summoning the Wither, you actually get the exact opposite. The beginning. The question mark.
Just like, what? Why? Why? Is it... There's nothing beginning. Like, beginning... Why not? Okay, he's gonna do this.
And then after its defeat, you get yourself the beginning again, but this time it's with a period. It's a definitive statement that directly parallels how the Ender Dragon achievements are handled, but with one problem. The Wither can be summoned at any time, and it very often happens after the dragon has been killed. It's not the beginning of really anything in this game. I was tempted to think that maybe it's the beginning of a new adventure post-Ender Dragon, but again, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense since summoning and defeating the Wither is completely optional in the story. And if and when you do it, nothing much comes of it, really. It gives you a Nether Star, which, for as special and unique as that item is, just allows you to build a beacon.
But it does give you 2 achievements, so yeah.
It's not all that cool or all that meaningful. But what if the Wither was the beginning in a different way? What if it's the beginning of the story for the ancient builders that started all this in motion in the first place? Look for a moment at the strongholds. They're buried super deep underground, like absurdly deep. And with literally no trace of their existence on the surface.
Why is that?
They're like bomb shelters or safety bunkers, but they're defending against what? Zombies? Creepers? So you don't go to that extreme just to defend against a regular mob. You're some creature like the Wither that spreads death and decay to anything in its sights? Absolutely.
Yeah, I would do that too.
We know that the Wither flies and also destroys any block that it touches. Your best way to avoid a creature like this is going to be by digging down, far below where it can reasonably follow. Exactly what we find with the stronghold placement. In fact, it would explain why the only remaining structures from these ancient builders on the surface of the overworld are underwater monuments, underground mine shafts, and secluded desert temples. They're the only structures that the Wither wasn't likely to touch and immediately destroy.
Yeah, but the desert temples, I'm not even doubting that because it's really far in the desert.
Kind of a stronghold. Well, it's a to the end. Now, we just established that the Wither can destroy almost any block that it touches. Almost any block being the operative word there. There are very few exceptions to things that it can destroy. Those exceptions include bedrock, command blocks, extended pistons, and end portal blocks and end portal frames. I don't know about you, but if my society is being decimated and I'm trapped in my underground bunker running away from this terrible beast
then I would do that too.
I'm making sure that I'm building that last-ditch escape effort using supplies that are going to be Wither-proof. We also can be sure that the Wither was known by the ancient builders. If you look closely at the chiseled red sandstone that was used as decorations in ancient buildings like desert temples and underwater ruins, you'll notice a hieroglyphic that clearly depicts the Wither. Straight body, 3 skeletons.
That I always noticed, so you don't need to point that out.
Certainly knew that this thing existed, but how?
How? How?
Importantly, why? Why would anyone intentionally try to summon this thing in the first place? Well,
that's the big question.
Shall we? The Wither requires 2 very interesting ingredients in order to be summoned. The first is soul sand. found throughout the Nether. Sand that's relatively unremarkable in every way. Oh yeah, except for it being composed of the souls of the damned.
Oh my
It's
gosh.
well known at this point that if you look at the pattern on soul sand close enough, you'll notice screaming faces staring back at you. It's also why you get sucked down a bit when you're walking across it, almost like the lost souls.
Oh my god, no, that's just creepy. No, I'm not looking.
To join them.
Oh my
yes,
gosh.
ladies and gentlemen, this is me talking about Minecraft. Kid-friendly, brand approved. So ingredient number 1, 4 cubic meters of damned souls. Check mark there. Secondly, you need 3 withered skeleton heads. But why these particular heads and not just any skeleton head? Well, to understand that, we need to find out what makes the wither skeleton so different from its brethren.
Yes.
Wither skeletons are exclusive to nether fortresses. This is worth noting because think about how crazy this is. We're basically in Minecraft's equivalent of HE double toothpicks. A world of ghasts and blazes, where everything is set on fire and nothing can build. Heck, most of the enemy spawns here don't even have arms. Yet somehow there are fortresses here that are being supervised by large cursed skeletons. Fortresses, mind you, that contain chests full of gold and diamonds and iron, saddles and horse armor. All materials that aren't found down in the nether naturally. Supplies that had to have been brought down there and left by the original people who constructed these things in the first place. The Enderman chests function much the same way. But you know it, they also contain the same sorts of loot. Iron and gold, diamonds and horse armor and saddles. Looks like it's the same people carrying their major supplies from place to place. So using this information, let me tell you a little story. An ancient race of builders descends into the nether to harvest its resources. They construct fortresses down there to defend against the hostile environment and store their supplies. But over time, as is natural, some of their ranks die. The nether is a dangerous and violent environment. So they bury their dead in the ground. But they don't realize that this place works differently than the overworld they're used to. What little soft ground there is actually sucks the soul out of the dead bodies.
That's how soul sand is made.
Soul sand, and leaving these bodies as just an undead husk of what they once were. It produces a wither skeleton. An aggressive, charred group of bones that, as an undead, lives on to complete the purpose it was given when it was alive. Defend its fortress. Seeing all this, the Ancient Ones start to piece together an idea. If soul sand does indeed contain lost souls, and somehow gives rise to the skeletons of the dead, maybe there's a way to combine the two and bring their dead friends back.
But why do you need 3 heads?
Were a proud people. I mean, they were
to cover 3 people at a
time,
but no, probably one by one people do that, right?
They had conquered the earth, they had conquered the realms of heck, now they would conquer the one thing impossible to any man, death. They would build life itself. I mean, with the raw materials, you can construct anything, right? Why not a lost human? You have the soul in the sand, you have the body in the wither skeleton, why wouldn't it work? The last thing I'll call out here. You'll notice that none of the items in nether chests are enchanted, but by the time you get to the end, a lot of them are. The reason I call this out is that it shows an escalation in the way these ancient builders started using magic. By the time they end their journey in the end, they're full-blown magic users. They've started to go beyond just construction. They're starting to play.
Did they make the wither?
So, how does the story all work out? Well, it's a classic tale of hubris. The builders, having been to the fiery depths of heck, try to harness the ultimate resource, the power of life and death itself. They combine the soul and the body, the soul sand and the wither skeleton head, and it doesn't work. But by this point, they're obsessed. There has to be a way to make it work.
But
like
then how
so many other fictional characters before them, like Dr. Frankenstein, like the Elrics. They're convinced that they have the right ingredients, so they start going down dark, more supernatural paths in their quest to crack the mystery.
Oh, so they were telling me they actually did.
Maybe they go to the witches, already outcasts from society, for their use of soul sand to concoct awkward potions and strange brews. And that's when they stumble upon it. They finally manage to create something.
Oh, that was a mistake.
What they expected. Instead of bringing new life to a dead friend,
you did my mistake.
No. Destructive beast. One out to punish them for tampering with the laws of nature itself. They make the Wither an unstoppable force. A beast that, as we know, destroys
I don't like
the
this.
that it
This
touches
is really
and
sad.
curses anything that gets in its way with decay. Gone overnight are the great buildings that this ancient race once constructed. The only things that remain standing are temples far out into the deserts, mine shafts hidden deep underground, monuments under the water. Gone are all the people of this once great society. One by one consumed by the wither, a disease literally eating them away from the inside. Friends,
oh no, it's a
dead,
skeleton.
decayed,
Oh,
or
that
worse,
is so
brought back
sad.
to life in the form of skeletons
Guys,
and zombies.
please.
The living undead
Tell
that
me if you
roam
agree
the
with me in the
landscape
comments
to this
if
day. So for their own
it's like
protection,
as
the
sad as I
remaining
think.
ancient
It's
people
really sad
hide
that these
underground,
ancient people,
deep underground, down near the
bleh.
bedrock in fortified
Get
bases
the
called
point.
strongholds, far below where the flying wither will
so-
be able to reach, with no trace of their existence
let's
on
see.
the surface. And it's there that they plan their escape. They've hopped to different realms before using portal
So
technology.
they were
Not
able
yet,
to
but this time
survive,
the
but
portal has to be made
I do have one question. Why is the wither not there? Like, why is the wither not in your world? Like, I know it must be like really far away, you guys are saying, but how? How? Even if you explored the whole place, there was no wither. Like, seriously, there is no wither. There has to be some, right? Evidence. But no wither. So how is that the thing? They can't. I don't know. Did the wither die? No, that can't be happening. How would the wither die? But if nothing can hurt him, nothing will hurt him except for you. Why isn't he alive? There's a lot of doubts I have here. I mean, one of them only, but still.
End portal blocks are literally the only block type outside of bedrock immune
So
to
he
the
made them.
attacks. And from there,
And then-
you know the rest. They managed to make the portal and hop to the end, but it's a
That was a
one-way
mistake
trip.
again.
They don't realize
Another
that
mistake.
the portal won't be accessible behind them. And what awaits them on the other side is something else. Something completely
Oh, where is he?
something
Where's the
they
dragon?
haven't been worth.
Oh my god, he just came out of nowhere.
But hey, that's just a theory. A game theory. Thanks for watching. And hey, before you disappear off into the nether, I need to tell you that this episode was made
I'm not
possible
going to the
by our
nether, okay?
sponsor, Honey, who's doing everything they can to help us.
Sorry, Matt. I'm not gonna wait for the sponsor. Because this would be a whole waste of time. So, we're just gonna end the video here, guys. So, hopefully you enjoyed the video. And we'll see you all later. Bye!